First one is the big guy out of Purdue, all of Canada on his back, Zach Edey. That's who it is. Very skilled player with incredible size. If you don't know this about him, great hands, good touch around the rim, keeps the ball up high, gets it up quickly, has some variety to his post moves with half hooks, flip shots, dunks and layups around the rim, draws a ton of fouls and shoots over 70% from the line. Moves well with great coordination. In college, he's a post up back to the basket player. Like they run their entire offense through him. His usage is like around 32%, which is something he won't have in the NBA. And I think primarily what he'll be in the NBA offensively is setting screens and just rolling to the rim, catching lobs, things like that, because he is 7'4". That catch radius is just unreal. I don't know if he's a lottery pick, though, and I know that there's a lot of mock drafts that have him that high. But, Zach, what are your thoughts on Zach Edey?
That he's just a large human being.
No skill?
And Canada is literally could fit on his back. Like, you crushed that. I don't have any animosity towards Purdue by any means. But the only thing I'm upset about is their last year fall in the first round of the NCAA tournament, which really made me sad because they destroyed my bracket the first day.
Lost a lot of money, huh?
Lost a lot of money. But with Zach Edey, if we're talking Pistons fit, no, I don't think he's a Pistons fit. I don't see him as a lottery pick just because, yeah, he has size, but his versatility is very minimal when it comes to defending the perimeter in a scoring league. So drafting a guy that's 7'4", like that's the guy that you put on the Lakers that LeBron just grabs to go into the playoffs with type player. If he fits your system, sure, he'd be a great pick. But with how the league is trending, I don't see him being a lottery pick.
See, that's the thing I struggle with too, because the pace in the NBA is just, it's so fast for Zach Edey. Now, real quick before we get into more of this, and I'll talk about my fit here in a second, but defensively, you're only going to be able to play drop with him in the NBA. And I do see a real role for him on an NBA team where he can alter shots. But every NBA team that he faces up against, they're going to try to hunt him on defense and get him in space with guards just dancing with him. And I don't know if he has the footwork and the lateral quickness. I mean, he is a very skilled player, don't get me wrong. And I think this is something he'll always continue to work on. But the NBA has just moved past his skill set. So, again, I do see a role for him just as a drop center, being able to alter shots. But I mean, if you can only play him like 20 minutes a game, is he really worth a lottery pick? I think if there's one team, I don't know why they're always on my mind when I think of like Zach Edey, but the Boston Celtics, I would absolutely love to see them draft Zach Edey. I think that's a team. They're well managed, they're well coached. They can identify strengths of players and they can put them in positions to succeed. I would totally love to see Zach Edey in a Boston Celtics uniform. I think it would just be great. For some reason, that just like screams to me like, yeah, we can find a way to use Zach Edey and make him successful. I just don't think he's worth a lottery pick. And if I'm the Detroit Pistons, I avoid drafting him because developmental wise, it's probably not going to be there in Detroit, but also the system that Monty Williams has in place, it just doesn't seem like it's creative enough to use a guy with that kind of size.
I really like. I didn't think about that. I like the Boston comparison, mainly because he is literally the flip opposite player as of Al Horford. Al Horford is your perimeter defense, is your 3-point shooter, which Al Horford is a sniper. I don't care what anybody says. Him and Brook Lopez really can stroke that thing from three. And that thing, it's incredible how well they shoot for their size. But I like that pick. I like that play. They could have a good pick because they're gonna make a finals run this year. So if you have a Zach Edey that's falling all the way to the 20s, mid 20s in this draft, I don't think you can pass up on him. He's an All-American.
Yeah, I think there's a real world that we're living in where Zach Edey does drop out of the lottery. I think he will blow scouts away with his ability, with his skill set. And I think there will be some GM out there that thinks like, man, like there is a way we could use this guy. I just don't see any of those teams in the lottery doing that. And that's just fair. And I mean, Zach Edey, he very well could go in the lottery. I'm not saying don't draft him if you think you're one of these teams that could find a role for him. I just think he drops out of the lottery. And I think that could probably be the best situation for Zach Edey. Take a lot of less pressure off of him and just kind of let him, just take his time with an NBA organization. But if we were like 20, if this was 20 years ago and we're drafting in 04, he's probably a top 3 pick, So Pistons probably take him number 2 over Darko Milicic. And if we're talking like 04. But who's your NBA comparison for him? You were telling me you have a few of these and you wanted to surprise me.
Yeah, so with Zach Edey, and you even listed off his attributes that work perfectly for this. So I know that you're not going to disagree with it. But I have him compared to Andre Drummond. Ooh. A better shooting free throw than Andre Drummond. That's what I have him, because Andre, he couldn't guard perimeter. He struggled. He wasn't slow for his size, but I think he was just 7 foot, maybe under 7 foot. Zach Edey's 7'4", and weighs more than what Andre Drummond did coming out of college. Yeah. But catching lobs, setting screens, just being in the way. Like, that's what Zach Edey would be in this league. As much as I used to love Andre Drummond and all of his TikToks and YouTube videos of the offseason, him shooting threes out in the backyard. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the year he does it. And then it's not even close to what we saw in his videos. Was the biggest disappointment I ever had on social media with Andre Drummond.
Okay, let me ask you, since you brought up Andre Drummond, who has more? I got to see how many career 3-pointers he has. Do you think Zach Edey finishes with more career 3-pointers than Andre Drummond
in his stint in the NBA?
Yeah.
No. I think he's smarter and he knows his role. He's not going to be shooting threes. Andre thought he legit could, and so I don't think Edey. I think Edey shot 1 in college, and he was 1 for 1. He banked it home.
But there is a tape out there, though, where he's shooting from the corner and he's draining them.
So that's the Zach Edey we're drafting, the corner 3 specialist. That's his 2K25 badge. He's sitting there in the corner just popping them up left and right. I don't think he finishes with more threes than Andre.
Okay, so how many 3-pointers do you think Andre Drummond has in his career?
17.
Ooh, close. 15.
Oh man, I almost got that one.
How many do you think he took in his career?
38.
Well, dude, come on. You think he's shooting that well from 3? No, he took 120. I think that's the more surprising number, that he took 123 pointers in his career so far.
That's bad, dude.
I'm gonna say Zach Edey finishes with more 3-pointers in his career than Andre Drummond. And I'm also going to go out and say he takes less 3-pointers than Andre Drummond to get to 15. That might be a hot take.
I'm going to have to save this somewhere for the next 2 years so I can look at it.
It's going to take him longer than 2 years, but I think Zach Edey will finish with 4 3-pointers.
That's my parlay for all of his games next year, is Zach Edey 1 3-pointer. Every game, $100. Don't disappoint.